It's multiplied in the month of Ramadan. Allah makes it easier for us to worship Him, to get closer to Him, to come close to Him. So how do I make the most for it during these days for myself? First and foremost, I have to remember that I'm doing this. I'm doing my fasting, my prayers, the tilawah of the Quran for myself, because I want to improve. I want to become a better Muslim. I want to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the purpose of this life was to find our Lord, to seek Him, to find Him, and to stay connected to Him throughout. Just like, we are connected right now on the social media platform. And if the connection internet is not good, you won't be able to hear me, you won't be able to see me, you won't be able to benefit. Even if the connection is there and the voice drops in and out, you lose your focus. So you can link this call, this recording, or this live session, whether on YouTube or on Google, you can relate it to your life. If the connection is not good, you won't benefit from the lecture. What will you do? Ultimately, you'll step away from it. You'll go watch something else. You'll go do something else. So when it comes to Qur'an, if we are unable to benefit from the lessons of the Qur'an, who is it at fault? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has constantly been there throughout our lives, even before the time we were born. He was there before this universe was created. So He never left. Who is the one who left? Who is the one who needs to stay connected to his Lord and her Lord? It's us. We need to make sure the connection from our side does not drop. And any time you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll always find Him there. You'll always find Him listening to you. You'll always find Him there for you. You'll find His guidance, especially in the book that He revealed, the final revelation. There were revelations before. Tawrat was revealed, Zabur was revealed, Injil was revealed, and that was for the previous time. Some people in today's world are still holding on to those books. But what is the book that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to benefit from? Finally, as a last message, it is the message of Qur'an. He does not want us to look into the previous messages. He wants us to take the benefit from Kalamullah, Kitabullah, which is the final book, which is the Qur'an. So how do I make sure that now I am benefiting from it? First, you have to accept it, that this life is going to come to an end, and this life is a test. Who made it a test? Who is making our life come to an end? It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Allah is always going to be there, He was always there, He's still here, and I'm going to return to Him. So how do I make sure that in the month of Ramadan, especially now, taking it from today, forget about whatever you've done in the last 20 days, whether you were able to make it or not, whether you did your best or not. Look at it again. Ask yourself, who am I really doing this for? Am I doing this so that I can create my checklist and just say, yeah, I did the khatma, I recited, I did my salah, I fasted, I gave my zakat, al-fitr, alhamdulillah, I'm done? Is this the reason Allah told us to fast and pray and to come closer to Him? Was this the reason the Quran was revealed for, that I just do the superficial actions, which is the physical action, but my heart doesn't change? When we enter the month of Ramadan, our heart has to change. We have to leave with a better heart. We have to leave with the lighter heart. And how will your heart change? If the message is not affecting you, if the message is not entering your heart. There are multiple ways of accessing the message of Quran. First is by reciting the verses, by listening to the tilawah of the Quran. Second is by looking into the tafsir of the Quran or the translation. If you don't know the meaning of the Quran, study the meaning, then study the tafsir, because it has to be studied step by step. The harder we make it for ourselves, the longer it takes us to finish Quran. I see a lot of people, as a teacher of Quran, I don't know why I see so many people stuck in halaqat of tajweed. You're not supposed to give tajweed forever. You're supposed to take tajweed classes, learn how to recite Arabic in 2 months, and that's it. Move on from the subject of tajweed. Tajweed is something that would help you make your pronunciation better. It's very important, but it's also important for you to not take the classes for years and years on end. I've seen so many people who get stuck in this, and they don't have time for the tafsir, they don't have time for tarjuma, they don't have time for tadabbur. All of this is the purpose of the revelation of the Quran. Tajweed is just one aspect of it. It's just the first stage. It's the first step. So you have to make an intention of taking as much as it takes of an energy in the beginning, because as non-Arabs, especially for non-Arabs, it's harder with some makharij. You have to work on your kha, your ain, your qaf, your dad, your ta. How do you work on them? You work on them by spending time with your teacher, coming back home and practicing for hours. This is how. I'm not an Arab. I was born in Kuwait. I was raised among the Arabs. I spoke Arabic from my childhood. But even speaking Arabic from your childhood does not qualify you. It does not give you 100% tajweed when it comes to Qur'an. So when I entered the halaqat of tajweed, I saw that, okay, I need to work on my some letters. I need to work on my qaf. It has to be better. I have to work on my ra. It has to be stronger. There is ra, the sound of ra. There's the sound of ri. So how do I differentiate? It's not the same. When we speak, even in Arabic, it's not the same as tilawa. So for tilawa, you have to work harder. I used to come back home from my classes. I would spend time with one mistake and work on it. And my Quran teacher was very strict. She was not, she didn't have a lot of qualifications in the subject. She just had the qualification of teaching tajweed. And that's what she did. If you make one mistake in her lesson, that's it. The lesson is over for you. You go back home, you work on that letter, you work on that makhraj and come back. And then if you improve, she'll let you move forward. If not, you stay on the same mistake, you fix it. This is how you're supposed to fix your tajweed. Why are the Muslims spending months and months and years in the classes of tajweed? You're not supposed to know, supposed to know the basics, but you don't have to study it in depth to recite. The main purpose of tajweed is to help you recite the Quran properly. And if your lessons of tajweed are not helping you do that, there's something wrong. Find another teacher or change your technique. This technique that I just shared works. It took me just 2 months to master it with my teacher because she was very strict. At first, I thought my teacher doesn't like me because she doesn't want me to recite Quran non-stop in the class, but that was not the purpose. After I mastered the tajweed, I realized, oh no, she was strict with me because she knew I could do it and I would do it the right way. So make an intention with yourself. If you don't know how to recite the Quran properly, number one, you take the lessons on tajweed, you'll take them quickly. You'll finish it quickly. And because after tajweed, what you should be doing with the Quran is tilawa. Tajweed does not guarantee you 100% tilawa. A lot of people, they get stuck in the halaqat of tajweed, but they don't spend as much time reciting Quran. I, as a teacher now, I can tell. If a person has been taking classes, I just have to listen to your Surah Al-Fatiha. I don't even have to see you. I just have to listen to your Surah Al-Fatiha to know how hard you've been working in the first session. And then if you make mistakes, I'll tell you to come back a few sessions later. And then I can tell if you practice or not, because the gap between the lessons means you have to work on yourself. Ramadan is not really the time to work on your tajweed. If you can, then you'll get stuck on one ayah. Unless you're a very devoted student, you have to make sure. That's why we stop our lessons in the month of Ramadan, because we want people to go through the entire Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows you're struggling, you're working hard, you're doing your best. He'll reward you as per your intentions. But some subjects need to be taken care of. Once you master the subject of tajweed, you never have to work on it again. Then you move on to, you take with the classes of the Quran, you study the tarjuma. Tarjuma, by the way, comes before tafsir. Tarjuma means basic translation. You should not mix tarjuma with tafsir together as a beginner. If you're just starting off, study the meanings. Know the ard means earth, as-samawat means heavens and skies, and the word wa means it's and in al-lugha al-Arabiya. Once you learn these basic things, the meaning will never change in your mind. As-samawat throughout the Quran is samawat, is still heavens. Al-ard throughout the Quran is al-ard, the earth, it never changes. So once you have some basic understanding, then you add tafsir onto it. Now you have halaqat of tajweed, you have tafsir, you have tarjuma isn't taught anywhere, by the way, except for people who are beginners. They tend to, and then they confuse these two subjects together. And that's why there's so much chaos in the Muslim Ummah when it comes to Quran. Ask people, they're studying, they're reading, they're reciting, but are they really moving forward? Is your relationship with the Quran today better than it was last year? Do you know more Quran, or are you still reciting quickly? You're doing your khatam al-Quran and you still don't understand. Your tajweed is still not anywhere close. You're still making the mistakes because you don't have a system. You have to find a system for yourself. Your teacher will have a system for you, but you have to give your life a system, a setup. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divided the night and day, He separated them. And the separation continues forever. Ever since we were born, we can see the separation. So there's always tomorrow. With tajweed, yes, if you work hard on yourself, you lose your voice at the beginning. But later on, your makharij will open, your throat will open up, it will never go back to its previous state. That's what practice does. So you have to practice. If you're not practicing enough in the beginning, you'll not get the reward later on. And this will go on for years and years and years. And I'm sure you'll know people around you who are studying tafsir, or not tafsir, tajweed, for 3 years, for 4 years, and they're still there. They're still stuck in the halaqat of tajweed. Tajweed is not just it's just the first step. It's not the essence of Qur'an. Essence of Qur'an is tadabbur, which comes after tajweed, tilawa, tartil. Tilawa and tartil are not the same again. When you have your tajweed, now I know how to pronounce ayn properly. I know abid in Surah Al-Kafirun means a person who worships Allah. Then I think about the meaning. Abid is one person. Why did Allah say abid here? Then you go into the tafsir and you reflect on it. Allah revealed Surah Al-Kafirun. It's sunnah to recite Surah Al-Kafirun in the first rak'ah of sunan of Al-Fajr and Al-Maghrib. Why did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it? He did it regularly. He did it in every Salat Al-Fajr and every Salat Al-Maghrib, the sunan. That's when the tadabbur comes. But if I'm stuck on tajweed, I can never move beyond Hamza and Ayn. When do you think your mind and heart will find the space for tadabbur, for tafsir? You do not benefit from the lessons of tafsir just by being there. The benefit comes when your heart is free to receive the message and you change. The change is going to occur with practice, and the practice has to be implemented on a personal level between you and yourself in your home. When you come back home from these circles, taking notes is important, and then reflecting, looking back over your notes is even important. Go line by line. It's easier for us to do this as adults. It's really hard to teach this to kids. With kids, you can work on tajweed and they'll never have to learn the rules ever again. That's the right time to start. With adults, it's much harder, but with kids, you cannot give them tafsir because you won't understand a lot of things. With adults, now as a Muslim ummah, we're stuck with tajweed, we're stuck with tafsir, you have to teach tilawa. Where do you begin? Where do you give people? You have to spend 24/7 with the teachers and the Qur'an for you to benefit. But the reason you'll have to do that is because you don't have a system. So create a system, find a system, start with the basics, see where you're stuck, and make an intention of moving from there. Now, the last 10 nights of Ramadan, I wanted to mention how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam benefited from the Quran. He knew Arabic, he had perfect tajweed because it was their language. And then how his Sahaba, they benefited. You know the stories of Umar bin al-Khattab. The verses had an impact on him. What kind of an impact was it? They didn't have to repeat it 1,000 times when it was revealed. They'll take the message because their hearts were ready. They were ready to receive it. They had no barrier between them and the Quran. Umar bin al-Khattab took a long time to come to Islam, but when he heard the message of Quran, he changed. He was a man who was going out there to kill Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, this man is a troublemaker in our society and I'm going to finish him because that's it. He has created too much chaos. And Allah changed his heart. Who changed his heart? It was not Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you make an intention of doing something, know the things that are happening around you right now in the world are happening for a reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a greater plan. Are we prepared in this plan in the meantime to do our part? You have to be ready with the message of Islam. When someone comes to you, but it has to enter your heart first. And the message is not going to change you if you're stuck on the basics, because that basic should be in our childhood. Our parents missed it in our childhood. They didn't know. We had to take it. But now where do we start for the next generation? You give them the example of Abu Bakr again. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, they used to compete in doing good deeds. But Abu Bakr was always ahead of him. Umar ibn al-Khattab was younger, at least you could say 2 to 3 decades younger than, they had a difference of more than 20 years. But Abu Bakr was still able to do more than Umar ibn al-Khattab. The reason is because with age comes the wisdom, and with age comes the system. You are able to have more patience and you can do more. You're more grounded in something. And look at the closest companion to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Though you have heard and seen their lives in different khutbah, in different Islamic lectures, but think about it. What changed this man? They didn't have these Islamic halaqat with different speakers. They had one speaker, and that was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what was he teaching them? He was teaching them from the Quran. The companions of the Quran are the ones who worry about the Quran, who think about the Quran, who reflect on it, and who stay close to the message of the Quran. And now, how do you stay close to the message of the Quran if you are stuck with the basics. That's why it's important for you to make this intention that I will move beyond the basics. I'll not just get stuck in the first session, the first lesson. I'll go beyond this. You have to create a map and plan for yourself. No one else can do this for you, because your teachers don't know what classes you're taking, what you're doing. Only you know how much you've done for Quran. Check your relationship with it. Are you really spending time with it? Are you really studying it? Or are you just attending halaqah here and a lesson there? And at the end of the day, you know everything, but you haven't changed. Because if you don't change, you're missing out on the khair of the Quran. The Quran was revealed to change us. And if it's not changing you, then there's something wrong with the heart that you're carrying. You have to look into your heart. What is really stopping you? Now, again, that even Uthman radiallahu anhu never let go of the Quran. And he said something very profound. He said, if our hearts were pure, we would never ever abandon Quran. Now you see how people are addicted on social media to applications like Snapchat was the thing of the past. Now it's TikTok. How they're addicted to TikTok. It's very easy to tell how much you're using it, how they scroll, how they watch the funny videos, the emotional videos, the creative videos. They stay close to it because it gives them something new, it inspires them. But at the end of the day, it's just an application that you desire to be on. The desire pulls you towards it. Or whether it's YouTube, watching sessions on YouTube, lessons on YouTube, your heart desires it, so you go turn YouTube on. Or it's Netflix for some people. They want to watch dramas and movies and they get glued there. Now, when your heart is in something, you'll find it very easy to do it. If your heart is not attached with Kitab Allah, by the way, the Kitab Allah, the book of Allah, is for your own good. It's for your own benefit. So you have to remind yourself this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not changing anything in his kingdom, whether I pay attention to the Quran or not. But it's going to change me. It's going to draw me closer to him. And even on Yawm al-Qiyamah, it's going to reward me and the people around me, and especially my parents. So you have to think about it this way. You have to think about Quran on a serious note between you and yourself. All the lectures, all the lessons that you have taken on the khutbah that you have heard about Quran, the lectures that you listened to, what did you really benefit? Or throughout your entire life, what was the benefit that you gained from Quran? Did it bring you closer? Or if not, then what is missing? What is stopping you from holding on to Quran like people hold on to their phones, their social media? What is stopping you from looking and studying the Quran like people watch the videos on TikTok or Netflix? Now, in the past, before the era of internet, when we had no internet, people didn't even have mobile phones. It was less than 20 years ago. It was easier for people to stay in masajid and listen and pay attention. Their attention was a lot purer than the attention we have of people today. Now, the session is online, but the thing that happens online is if you're even if you're in the masjid, you may find people busy with their phones. You may get busy with your phone because you're here and you're there. And what this does to your heart is, your heart is not fully invested in anything. When you truly want something, when you truly love something, you are going to pay full attention to it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he revealed the Quran, he also told us, he reminded us in the Quran that when you are listening to the tilawa of the Quran, what do? فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. Listen to it and be silent and pay attention. How do you pay attention to Quran if your mind is busy with 10 different thoughts? You are worried about work, about family, about children, about food, about sleeping, and then you're worried about your social media. Where do you think Quran is going to fit in this? Quran is not the next number in line. Quran is what should guide your work, your family, your career, your relationships, your children, even your social media. You have to take guidance from Kitab Allah. How do you connect the lessons of the Quran with your life? You have to live with it. You have to stay close to it. You have to reflect on the verses of Kitab Allah. Allah has created this universe with certain laws. The laws of universe, they don't change. The sun still remains in the shape it is. It still rises and it sets, and then the moon has a certain cycle. We follow the cycle of the moon and the sun for both the year and the month. The laws of Allah don't change. Allah has placed certain laws in this world. If you work in a company, the company has certain laws. You have to follow those laws. Now, from among the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is another law. He has promised us success. He has promised us khair. He has promised us rahmah if we follow his guidance. And where does his guidance come from? It comes from the Quran again. Now, what does Allah want me to do? He wants me to praise him, to thank him, In Surah Al-Fatiha, you can see that. And we have to, again, remember the words, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, that we turn to Allah, we ask Him constantly, and we tell Him that we only worship You, Ya Allah. So am I showing my connection with Allah in my salat, and beyond my salat, that do I truly, really worship Allah? And do I only seek Allah's help in my daily affairs, or is the case something else? It is going to be something else if you're not connected to the message of the Quran. So it's very important for you as a Muslim to go back to Kitabullah. You have to take yourself back there. And how do you make sure you're still getting the help of Allah while connecting with the Quran? You make dua. You ask Allah to open your heart to the Quran. Like the dua is mentioned in the Quran, Rabbi shrah li sadri. When you recite this dua, keep the Quran in your mind. You want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open your heart, to expand your chest for what? So that you can understand the message of Quran, you can hold it. It's not easy. It's not easy to hold on to the message of the Quran in this era, because if you look at your social media and the things that are coming on social media, especially for the younger generation, I'm not sure about the ages of the audience listening to the session, but I highly doubt we'll have someone who's 17, 18, 19 years old. Those kids, they're our people. They're our children. Where are they? They're busy on TikTok. They're busy on Reels. They're making videos of things to get attention from the world. Those videos are not going to take them closer. They're not going to bring them closer to Quran. Very few people promote the message of Islam. It's the younger generation, but it's not the upcoming generation. The kids that are coming, they need something of the Quran from us. What is it that we're giving them? Are we helping them come closer to the Quran? Or are we struggling and we're leaving nothing behind for them? When you hold on to the message of Kitabullah, it's your duty and responsibility to share it with those who are younger than you. Not by being rude and harsh with them, but by sharing the lessons you learned. But you have to learn the lesson yourself first. You have to teach the lesson to yourself. And then you have to make sure your training has an effect on others around you. Especially with the younger generation, they don't know. The world is flat for them. Now, there is a confusion. Never in the past did they have even genders on your social media besides male and female. Now they add a third option, which is not sure, or you don't want to disclose it. Why is this programming happening? It's happening because the world is changing. Anything goes, everything goes for people everywhere. You don't have to follow anyone. That's the basic essence of it. You shouldn't listen to anyone because according to the majority, there is no afterlife, there's no creator, so you live your life as per your wishes. But what is it doing to the people? What is it doing to the younger generation? It's not only confusing them beyond the confusion that we had when we were their age, it's going to make it very difficult for them to access the message in its purest form. So how do you make sure the message gets to them? You learn it and you teach it to others. And you don't have to learn like everything that's out there. You don't have to study thousands of hours in halaqat al-ilm, and then you say, then I'll be ready. By the time you finish your lessons, the kids will have grown up and their identity will be solidified. So how do you make sure the benefit, the little bit that you know, you share to the people? When I started off with my teachers, Jazakumullah khair, the training was very rigid. The training was not following any manhaj of a university. They were following the natural training, where they would see the students in their classes and they would pick us and they would just, put us into these halaqat of taking responsibility of training others. And when I started giving my first lesson in teaching people tajweed, it was in my first year of studying tajweed itself. My teacher did not wait for me to get an ijazah to complete hifz of the Quran. She knew I was ready. I didn't know I was ready. I thought, no, I don't want to do it. I want to stay behind as a student. I was very shy. I would just, do my thing and go back home and stay close to my Quran because it's a very personal relationship. I was doing it for myself. But my teachers, they said, no, you have to teach it. And they would go on Umrah, they would go for Hajj. I would be leading the classes. And then I took up the responsibility, just like I took Quran seriously. I took up the responsibility and I grew in those years. I grew with my halaqat. Then I finished my Quran. I was still teaching. When I took my ijazah, I was still teaching. When I started, we studied the tafsir. We started the tafsir right after after the lessons of tajweed, because beyond a certain point, you don't really need to know it unless you're teaching the subject of tajweed. The essence of the Quran, the benefit that you can gain from the halaqat of tafsir is incomparable to any other session, unless you want to be certified in tajweed and teach that subject to people. You don't have to go too deep in this. You have to study the basics, take the basics, apply it, and keep reciting the Quran. The benefit of the Quran is going to come from tilawa, not just by studying the rules of tajweed, but by tilawa. So if you need, by the end, if you need a small, you could say, guideline, start off, number one, with tajweed. Don't spend too much with it. 2 months, 3 months, give yourself a deadline. Finish the subject, master the subject. First is tajweed, second is tilawa, and by the time you're working on your tajweed, you cannot work on your tajweed without working on your tilawa. If you don't improve in tilawa, your tajweed will still stay zero, and that's where the people get stuck. they don't master tajweed because they're not reciting enough. You have to recite a lot for you to benefit from tajweed. So right after tajweed comes tilawa, and while you're reciting the Quran, you slowly start focusing on the tartil as well. Tartil means beautifying it. Now you don't have to focus on the rules of tajweed. Now you have to focus on how to recite Quran beautifully, in a good manner, in a nice manner, because the reward is greater for someone who honors the Quran versus someone who's just reciting it lazily, someone who's just doing it as a part of his class or her lessons. No, you have to recite Quran beautifully with understanding. القرآن ترتيلا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayah for a reason. Focus on it. What could be the meaning behind this? So you start with tajweed, then you move to tilawa, then you move to tartil, and after tartil, you focus on the tarjuma as well. You start picking the verses of the Quran, different verses. You start implementing the meaning. You start understanding it. So I mentioned tarjuma. After tarjuma, you move on to tadabbur. You move on to tafsir. Tafsir is where you go deeper into the meaning of the Quran, and you can find this in Islamic lectures online. There are plenty many. But right after tafsir, you need to do something that's called tadabbur. Tadabbur doesn't just mean going in depth. It means you reflect on it. You connect the ayat of the Quran, the meaning of the verses, the tafsir, with your current issues in life. How can I benefit from the lessons of the Quran? The lessons of the Quran haven't gotten old. It's us who have failed to connect because not enough scholars are doing it. And it could be for various reasons. People are busy, people don't have time. Everyone's in a rush, but where are we hurrying? We know the Ramadan has quickly flown by. 2/3 of Ramadan is over. As of today, it's over. Where has it gone? And if you look back, see how much time were you able to give to the Quran? Were you able to give enough time to the tilawa, tartil, to the tafsir, to tadabbur? Or were you stuck somewhere here and there? And if you were, change that, because you won't benefit from the essence of the Quran, from the purpose of its revelation, if you're not doing it the right way. Now, this is a rough guideline for you to follow if you are trying to come closer, and make sure what you were doing this Ramadan, it may be your last Ramadan, but if whatever you're doing this Ramadan is better than the last Ramadan with your connection when it comes to the Quran. If you're not giving Quran time, it won't open up to you. You'll still come to Ramadan if with the same attitude towards it. You'll exit it with the same attitude, and then you'll see, yeah, in Ramadan I was able to recite more because shaitan was caged, but now I cannot because shaitan is out and he's overpowering me. That should not be the case. That should not happen. You need to take charge of your situation. You need to take charge of your life. The reward is greater than Ramadan. It doesn't mean you cannot do the same actions beyond Ramadan. You'll never find the Sahaba complain about this. The complaint is only in our times because we have so many distractions. We have so many issues. We don't know when to make the time for Quran. And even if you do make time for it, don't just like pictures of Quran online. Okay, you're encouraging, you're spreading the message. Make sure the message of the Quran enters your heart. You're able to reflect on it. Wa barakallahu feekum. I think this is it. I don't know if sister is going to translate it for you. Shall I stop here, or how does this go now?
Okay, thank you, Ustadzah Asma. Maybe I will give some points in Indonesia to the participants that you have explained to us to our lecture. So, jadi yang dicoba dijelaskan oleh Ustadzah Asma adalah tentang bagaimana kita harus mempelajari Al-Quran, tentang bagaimana kita harus mempelajari Al-Quran dari basic, dari dasar, di mana kita memperbaiki Al-Quran kita dari mulai bacaan kita, dari mulai tajwid kita. Jadi sehingga apalagi Al-Quran itu kan, bacaan Al-Quran itu kan kita pakai di kehidupan kita juga juga di dalam sholat kita juga. Contohnya Al-Fatihah gitu. Al-Fatihah itu sangat penting sekali di dalam kesahan di dalam sholat kita. Maka kita harus memperbaiki bacaan kita, terutama yang paling dasar dulu tajwid. Dan kemudian kita harus bersabar juga dalam belajar Al-Quran. Kemudian yang kedua, setelah kita belajar tajwid, maka kita belajar tilawah yang baik secara tartil dengan tajwid yang benar, bukan hanya sekadar memperindah bacaan, tetapi ternyata bacaan kita salah-salah tajwidnya, tetapi kita harus yang penting adalah bagaimana kita membaca Al-Quran itu, membaca Al-Quran itu dengan tajwid yang benar. Nah, seperti itu. Terutama di bulan Ramadan ini. Bulan Ramadan ini kan bulan Qur'an, yang seharusnya kita itu memperbaiki connection kita atau hubungan kita dengan Al-Quran. Bukan sekedar mengejar target khataman, tetapi juga bertilawah serta mentadaburi isi maknanya, sehingga kita dapat mendapatkan makna dari Al-Quran, kemudian kita bisa implementasikan ke dalam kehidupan kita, seperti itu. Kemudian esensi dari Al-Quran itu sendiri adalah mentadaburi isinya, mentadaburi isinya. Bukan hanya sekadar membaca cepat-cepat ya, tetapi juga harus memahami isinya gitu. Nah, seperti zaman dulu Rasulullah, kenapa Rasulullah itu selalu mengulang-ulang bacaan Al-Quran? Karena Rasulullah dulu selalu mentadaburi Al-Quran, sehingga makna-makna di dalam Al-Quran itu menyentuh jiwa kita sampai ke dalam hati kita. Oleh sebab itu connection kita, hubungan kita dalam Al-Quran untuk membaca Al-Quran itu terlebih terhadap makna-maknanya dan tafsirnya kita harus perbaikin, seperti itu. Kemudian juga kita harus bersabar dalam mempelajari Al-Quran. Nah, seperti para sahabat juga dulu mempelajari Al-Quran itu bahkan sampai bertahun-tahun. Kita jangan sampai menghabiskan waktu kita justru bertahun-tahun untuk hal-hal yang tidak mendekatkan diri kepada Al-Quran. Contohnya pada generasi yang sekarang, ketika kita compare, ketika kita bandingkan kehidupan Rasulullah dan sahabat dan generasi sekarang, para generasi sekarang anak mudanya lebih suka untuk menghabiskan waktu di sosial media seperti TikTok, Instagram, dan lain sebagainya, sehingga mereka jauh dari Al-Quran gitu. Nah, inilah kemudian tugas kita untuk mengajak para generasi muda untuk kembali kepada Al-Quran. Nah, bagaimana kemudian kita kembali kepada Al-Quran? Seperti yang disampaikan Ustadzah Asma Abdul Hameed, kita harus memperbaiki dulu apa yang salah pada bacaan kita. Kita memperbaiki dulu bacaan kita, tilawah kita, tajwid kita, tahsin kita. Kemudian kita fahami gitu ya. Dan penting juga untuk mempelajari bahasa Arab, karena sesuatu yang mengatakan pada kewajiban itu hukumnya wajib. Jadi kita juga perlu juga untuk mempelajari bahasa Arab. Kemudian setelah kita memperbaiki bacaan kita, maka kita harus mengajarkannya kepada generasi, kepada orang lain gitu. Seperti yang dilakukan oleh Ustadzah Asma Abdul Hameed, beliau mempelajari Al-Quran, tidak mencukupkan diri dengan tilawah, tidak mencukupkan diri dengan tajwid, tetapi kemudian Ustadzah Asma itu kemudian melanjutkan untuk mempelajari tafsirnya, tadaburnya, dan kemudian untuk memantapkan diri kemudian bahwa beliau ini harus mengajarkan Al-Quran ini kepada para generasi muda pada saat ini, karena semakin akhir zaman ini banyak sekali anak muda yang kemudian jauh dari Al-Quran. Jadi itu mungkin yang poin-poin penting yang saya dapatkan dari Ustadzah Asma. And it has been a lot of questions, Ustadzah Asma. Maybe we will go for...
You can go ahead.
Yeah. I will read the question, and after that, you can answer one by one question. Here I will read. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Liquid. It's a great honor for me can join in this meeting talking about change my question. is why Omar bin Khattab changed, also later Abu Sufyan Hindun, but why Abu Lahab doesn't. Both they close to Rasulullah and both are from Quraysh, which none has bad attitude. May Allah always protect wherever you are, sister. Thank you. It's from Liquid.
Okay, so
Uh,
is the person asking what is the question again? Is the person asking how the few accepted Islam but not Abu Lahab? Is this what the question is?
and the question is why in the era of Rasulullah, Umar bin Khattab can chance with the Quran because they are close to Rasulullah. But why not Abu? Why not Abu Lahab?
Thank you for
Uh,
the
yeah.
clarification. The reason is because not everyone has the same understanding or perception. It's the same reason why Fir'aun wasn't able to listen to Musa alayhi salam. The reason is the same. And it's the same reason that applies to people today in our times where they don't listen. If you don't listen, you don't pay attention, and there are two types of listenings. One, you're not paying attention because your mind is elsewhere. The second is you're not listening out of ego and pride. Abu Lahab, what stopped him was his pride because he was richer than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had an ego issue. Now, this is mentioned in all the religions, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Christians know this from the Bible. We know this from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anyone who has an atom's weight of arrogance in his heart is not going to enter Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like arrogance. And the reason is because if you're arrogant, you'll never ever pay attention. You'll say, I'm better than this person. Why should I listen to him? And this happened even with Shaitan. He said, Ana khayrun minhu. Why should I listen or to the command of Allah that I should do sajda to Adam alayhi salam? He's not better. I am better than him. The ego and arrogance stopped Abu Lahab, it stopped Fir'aun, it stopped Shaitan, and it even stops people today. The arrogance. They think Muslims. How do you know this is true? They think they're better than you. They're better because they're not following Islam. And you will see this in the Muslim communities as well. They are secular Muslims. They are Muslims who are active politically. They have all the blessings of the dunya, but they don't have Qur'an. And they look down on other Muslims. They're like, okay, your religion is a religion of poor people. This concept was active and alive even in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came from a very good family, but he was not the richest in his tribe. His uncle was richer. His uncle had more political power, so it became a matter of ego. With Umar ibn al-Khattab, he was a youth. He was against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he was paying attention. He did not have ego issues. And Rasulullah prayed, if he has khair, Ya Allah, guide Umar to Islam, or Amr bin Hisham, who's Abu Jahl. He made dua for both of them because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted people with some influence to accept Islam. Why? Because he knew the people with influence will bring more people. Now you see celebrities in our times, Muslim celebrities, non-Muslim celebrities. You know, if this person accepted Islam, if this person shared the message of Islam with your followers, what's going to happen? More people will pay attention to Islam. But they don't do it. It's just how the life is. It's just how world is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this as a test to show you someone very close to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his uncle, will reject the message of Islam. Someone who was about to kill him accepted Islam. Allah changes the hearts. At the end of the day, you don't know who's going to accept it. If you look in one direction, you think the khair is coming from here, the khair will come from another direction. This is the hikmah of Allah. This is also the test of Allah. And that's why Allah tells us to be patient. I hope this answered the question.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. Let me to translate a little bit from the answer to the questioner. So, jadi tadi Ustadzah menjelaskan bahwasanya kenapa yang terjadi kepada Umar bin Khattab dan kepada Abu Lahab itu berbeda. Padahal mereka sama-sama di kehidupan Rasulullah dan mereka sama-sama dekat dengan Rasulullah dan Al-Quran pun turun pada saat itu, gitu. Nah, yang membedakan adalah karena ada kesombongan dalam hati Abu Lahab, merasa bahwa dirinya lebih baik, merasa bahwa dirinya lebih kaya daripada Rasulullah, merasa bahwa dirinya uh, gitu. Sehingga kesombongan itu yang kemudian menutup pintu hati Abu Lahab sehingga Al-Quran tidak masuk ke dalam jiwanya gitu. Sedangkan Umar bin Khattab, walaupun Umar bin Khattab itu mencoba untuk bahkan membunuh Rasulullah, tetapi Umar bin Khattab itu tidak memiliki kesombongan dalam dirinya, dia tidak merasa lebih baik, tidak merasa bangga terhadap dirinya, sehingga Allah memberikan sehingga Allah membukakan pintu kepada Umar bin Khattab kemudian untuk menerima Islam. Allah menutup pintu hati kita sehingga kita susah untuk menerima ketika sama-sama di dalam zamannya Rasulullah, sama-sama dekat dengan Rasulullah. Okay, now I'm going to the next question, Ustadzah Asma. It is from Anita Fitri. Thank you, Ustadzah Asma, to teach and remind us tonight. I love to see your spirit. May Allah bless you. Could you please tell us the daily schedule to study Quran in Kuwait? Do you attend halaqah or tadabbur every day or weekly? Thank you. It's from
Okay,
Anita.
the thing with the studying the Quran is I started my journey with the Quran a long time ago, so all of it has become a part of my journey, my life now. I don't have to study to read anymore because I mastered it, so that subject is off the shelf. Now I teach, I help people correct the mistakes, but with tilawa, I recite on a daily basis. Tadabbur happens in different for me on a personal level. It's not a weekly thing, it's a daily thing. It can happen when you're looking at the news, when you're looking at the world events, what's happening everywhere in the world right now. With tadabbur, again, you have to connect your tadabbur with the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. Yes, you take the Quran and you take with the current affairs of the world. How do you know who's right, who's wrong? Is there really a war, or is it all an act of, you don't know what's happening in the world? So you study the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, connect it with the ayat of the Quran, and then you reflect on it. So for me, these days especially, it's on a daily basis. I don't have like time set for this, but especially before, you could say, like Salat al-Fajr, which is the time of Tahajjud, I wake up early. I tend to spend that time. It's a quiet time. It's a personal time. There's nothing going on in the world at that time, unless you're on social media, because social media is 24/7. So I tend to stay awake. I have no classes before Salat al-Fajr. I tend to spend time with myself, reflect, and then I set the goals for the day. And then I set goals on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. For the month of Ramadan especially, I drop everything else. I don't have any extra goals except for reciting Quran more, reflecting on it more, because the reward is associated more with it. So you try to do that. You, first and foremost, you have to increase in your tilawa of the Quran. In Ramadan, out of Ramadan, recite Quran more. If you're not reciting Quran more, nothing else matters. You cannot say, I'm studying tafsir, but you're not reciting Quran. Give Quran time, give tilawa the time. The tilawa of the Quran is going to change you. The change comes from here. It's not going to come even from tafsir or tadabbur if you're not doing tilawa. You can't say, I'm doing tadabbur daily, but I recited Quran properly last Ramadan, or I recited it in 2020. There is no purpose in anything if you're not reciting Quran. Recite Quran, even if you don't understand, recite it without tajweed. Keep reciting, Allah will open the doors for you. So I'll say, I don't know what your life is like. I don't know what your background is like. I don't know what you're dealing with. I cannot give a strict schedule to you. So I can tell you the basics. If you're reciting one page, add another page to it. If you're reciting 10 pages, add 5 more pages to it. Just make sure you're reciting Quran more this Ramadan than you were doing in the last Ramadan. And inshallah, set a goal for yourself beyond Ramadan. You can set it based on, let's say, the Eid, the next Eid, not this Eid. Between this Eid and the next Eid, you'll have completed Quran once or twice, depending on how your schedule is. So it has to be based on your schedule. Just increase whatever you're doing.
Thank you, Ustadzah Asma. Jadi tadi Ustadzah Asma menjelaskan bahwasanya beliau itu mencoba untuk setiap hari membaca Al-Quran. Bahkan beliau membaca ketika sholat tahajud di malam hari, ketika suasana sepi. Kemudian juga beliau juga membaca atau tilawah Al-Quran ketika sebelum sholat fajar. Dan dimaksimalkan bahwa setiap hari kita harus membaca Al-Quran, tidak peduli kita itu paham isinya atau tidak, kita harus tetap selalu membaca Al-Quran gitu. Jadi jangan sampai kita jauh dari Al-Quran, terutama di bulan Ramadan ini. Di pengalaman Ustadzah Asma bahwasanya Ustadzah Asma meletakkan semua kesibukannya hanya untuk mendekatkan diri pada Al-Quran, untuk membaca lebih, mentilawai lebih, mentadaburi lebih bacaan Al-Quran. Bahkan lebih baik dari Ramadan sebelumnya, bahkan lebih baik daripada bulan-bulan sebelumnya. Sehingga kita harus juga meninggalkan kesibukan kita untuk mendekatkan diri kepada Al-Quran seperti itu. Okay, we go for the third question. This question is from Liquid again. Oh no, it's not. It's not a question. I think that was the last question, Ustadzah Asma. Maybe before we close our section, I would like you to give us some closing statement and also some suggestion for us, for Indonesian people, especially for us, the young generation, about what we have to do in this akhir zaman. Um, so, Tafadhol Ustadzah for giving us the closing statement.
One, it's very, very worrying for the kids. We see our kids are spending more time on social media, on TikTok, away from Islam, away from Quran, away from families. So they have created their families there. They are following. It's everyone has a religion. Religion doesn't mean you worship someone in sujood and ruku. Religion means you follow something, you endorse it, and you become it. I'm sure even in Indonesia must have heard of this BTS army. I haven't seen anyone around me, but on social media, there's always this BTS army. Why are they all there? Whenever something happens, everyone goes there, especially the younger generation. It's not people in their 30s and 40s, it's the young kids. They are with this Korean group. What has it's like a religion. They literally worship those stars or singers. They worship them. You have to now you don't start with them from there. You don't tell them off from there. You bring them back to Kalamullah by making dua for them first and foremost. You make dua for them, then you explain to them the purpose of this life. Like in simple terms, don't make it very complicated. Don't tell them everything they're doing is haram, haram. They have to understand this for themselves. You start over the revelation again, why the Quran was revealed. Talk about the ahadith, especially talk about the akhir zaman ahadith that mention such and such is going to happen. The time is going to fly. There will be frequent wars. There will be frequent fitan. Tell them and leave them. Tell them what do they think about this. Tell them what do they think about the religion. You have to know what's in their mind. If you don't know what's in their mind, no matter what you say, they'll say yes, yes, I understand. But they don't understand. You have to let them talk to you. Ask them what is it, what do they think is the purpose of this life. Ask them to build this bond with you. When they connect with you, when they talk to you, that's when you can guide them. But if you're the only one talking to them, you're just like some YouTube ad that they're waiting to finish because they know they can skip this ad after some time. Or if it's a 5 second, 5 minute lecture, they'll skip it. So you have to make sure you let them talk, you listen to them. You listen and then you try to guide them. If you don't give them attention, if you don't give them time, if you only lecture them, they won't benefit. So you have to for yourself, make dua for them, care for them, and leave them with the message like our parents, our teachers, our people left the message with us that you have to be open and be open to helping them out if you can. If you can't, then find someone who can help them out. But make sure you're there for them. Number one, with dua. Number two, by listening to them. Pay attention to them. If you don't pay attention, someone else is paying attention. And someone else today is social media for everyone. Every country has their people on TikTok, and there are half the country doesn't use it, the other half is using it. The older generation doesn't use it. The younger ones are using it. And who's losing? We are losing our future to an application that has no benefit if you're not using it for the good cause. And you know what people are doing there. So make sure you access, if you have kids, if you have teenagers, you hold on to them, you let them talk to you, let them tell you about their life, and take the conversation from there. And yes, bring them back to the Quran, not by giving them this link to long lectures. Ask them, what do they really know about Islam? What do they really know about Akhirah? And then help them from there step by step.
Oh, mashallah, it's a really good closing statement and also a good suggestion for us, for especially to give a dakwah to the young generation, especially for today's generation that they are addicted with social media, with TikTok, with BTS Army, and I hope that we can also, as the young generation, to do dakwah for other, not only for not only to uh, give them lecture, but to hug them, to let them talk to us about their life, and to be open with them, and to give solution to them with their problem also, and to remind them about the Quran, to make them close to the Quran again. And because we maybe in the next future, maybe we will we are going to lose our generation. Thank you Ustadzah Asma for your closing statement. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, jazakillah khair Ustadzah for the lecture and the knowledge that you have given to us today. May Allah always give you health, always give you kindness and ease to you, and hopefully maybe we can meet again in another chance.
When it's written, Allah
Maybe
will make it happen.
yeah, another chance maybe. But most importantly, inshallah, we hope, hopefully we can meet in Jannah, inshallah. I mean, Allahumma amin. It is really great to meet you, Ustadzah, here on, even though it is online. And thanks once again for the chance. Hopefully, Allah will keep us always in connection. Thank you for your time. And before I close the lecture, there will be a certificate for you. Maybe I will send it to your WhatsApp. But here, I will give.
It's okay. It's fine. Someone already sent it to me. It's okay. I saw that.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's yeah. Thank you for the certificate. But again, these things make you reflect and think even more that are we doing? We need to do more. We need to do more. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to a crowd I would have never seen in my life. Thank you, barakallahu feekum, and inshallah hope to see you soon. Has the session ended?
yeah. Mm. Thank you, Barakallah Fikum, Sada Asma. Well, let me close the lecture today in Indonesian. And terima kasih buat teman-teman semua yang sudah hadir di dalam kajian ini. Masya Allah, kita mendapatkan banyak pengalaman, banyak sharing, banyak pengetahuan tentang Al-Quran yang disampaikan oleh Ustadzah Asma. Dan semoga kita menjadi pribadi yang lebih baik, pribadi yang kemudian menjadi generasi yang bukan jauh dari Al-Quran, tetapi dekat dengan Al-Quran. Begitu pula kita kemudian mengajak teman-teman yang lain, generasi kita nantinya untuk kembali dekat kepada Al-Quran, terutama Ramadan ini. Di sisa-sisa 10 hari Ramadan, insya Allah kita harus memperbaiki diri dalam mendekatkan diri kepada Al-Quran dan mendekatkan diri kepada Allah. Baik, jangan lupa juga untuk yang belum follow, silakan follow Dakwah Islam ID, dan juga yang belum subscribe channel YouTube Dakwah Islam TV. Dan teman-teman yang ingin berinfak, silakan bisa berinfak di Yayasan Dakwah Islam. Kemudian terkait dengan giveaway, kita ada giveaway bagi siapa saja yang kemudian membuat resume dan kemudian memposting resume itu dengan men-tag Dakwah Islam ID. Kita akan memilih resume yang terbaik dan kemudian kita akan umumkan di akhir acara selesai di penghujung akhir Ramadan dengan giveaway yang insya Allah ada The Great Story of The Great Story of Muhammad dan juga 10 buku dari Dakwah Islam. Baiklah, kita akhiri. Let's close our. Thank you very much. It was a great lecture. Barakallahu fikum. Thank you. Let's close our lecture today by reciting hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Sorry for my mistake in delivering or in helping to as the moderator here. Maaf ya kalau ada salah-salah dalam menjadi moderator pada kali ini. Semoga di lain kesempatan kita bisa bertemu lagi dan memperbaiki lebih baik lagi. Terima kasih dari saya. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.